In January this year, we invited students working in climate and environmental science to take part in interdisciplinary workshops with students from the Royal Northern College of Music. They worked together on pieces inspired by contemporary climate and environmental issues, led by Sarah Nicolls and Laura Bowler, who both create artistic work on the climate and ecological emergency. 5 new pieces have been created as a response, and you'll hear them here for the very first time. Changing Music in a Changing Climate is a project led by the Royal Northern College of Music Centre for Practice and Research in Science and Music, also known as PRiSM, a collaborative interdisciplinary research environment. You can read more about the project on the PRiSM web pages here. The pieces will be available to listen to again with programme notes after the live broadcast. Please share your thoughts and comments on the PRiSM Twitter account with the hashtag Changing Music Climate.
Hi, I'm Sarah Nicolls. I'm a pianist and a composer.
Hi, I'm Laura Bowler. I'm a composer and a vocalist.
We're really grateful to have been invited to run the project Changing Music in a Changing Climate.
We were lucky enough to work with 6 Royal Northern College of Music students, as well as 4 climate scientists. We came together to create new works addressing the subject of climate change. We encouraged the students to think abstractly about the subject matter, and then more scientifically fact-based explorations took place. And then how we could communicate the huge, complex topic of climate change through the medium of music.
In workshops over several months, we were able to get deep into this urgent and important topic. And we had a presentation from the wonderful Professor Julia Steinberger.
Sarah and I, as well as several students taking part in the project, are all avid readers of climate papers, books, and are always reading the latest updates on climate change and the science surrounding it. Yet we still managed to learn a huge amount from the climate scientists that took part, and were endlessly surprised with the information that they gave to us and found it truly inspiring to have them working alongside us.
We hope you find this concert thought-provoking and emotionally resonant. Thank you very much for listening, and do join in the conversation online.
Hello, my name's Simon. This is a quick introduction to our piece, 3 Perspectives. The piece was made by myself. I made the music. My friend Fiona did the video editing and the microscopic film footage. And Freya Mitchison was the scientist advisor. The piece was inspired by Freya's research. Freya uses diatoms, which are a kind of microscopic algae, to measure how sea ice has changed in the Arctic. So this gave us the idea of looking at ice from different perspectives, from the microscopic perspective, from a human perspective, and from satellite images, which give an overview. So we were quite lucky in that on the NASA website is lots of footage and images. The piece also incorporates some ideas of Milankovitch cycles. It's the way the Earth spins and tilts and moves on its axis. So I tried to create the music around these cycles. So for example, there's a panning technique in the percussion parts which makes the parts appear to swing from side to side. So you've got 3 percussion parts, and they swing in different ratios which roughly approximate the Milankovitch cycles. These also pop up in the melody lines. So for instance, the melody line is 2 bars long in one part and then 4 bars long in another part. So yeah, it's to do with how climate change science, man-made climate change, is underpinned by nature's cycles and how these are affecting and disrupting each other.
Hi, I'm Freya Mitchison. I'm one of the climate scientists that was involved in the project. So I took part in 2 of the workshops, so one in Manchester where we actually got to meet in person, which was nice, and then one during lockdown over Zoom. The scientists presented some of our research, and then we had some general discussions on how science can be interpreted musically, you know, whether it's quite literal and direct, or, you know, data driven, that kind of thing, or whether it's more abstract. And then from there I ended up sort of collaborating more closely with 2 of the composers, so Simon and Xia, and both are quite different. So with Simon, we discussed my research, which involves using microfossils preserved in ocean sediment to reconstruct changes in the Antarctic ice sheet and the Southern Ocean over time, and we focused on the idea of sort of micro to macro, and also looked at things like climate cycles and sort of different rhythms within the climate system, which Simon interpreted musically in terms of bar length, which is turned out really well. And we used some video footage from a friend of mine, Elaine Morby, who works in the British Antarctic Survey, and sort of looked at the visuals as well. And then with Xia, it was sort of more abstract, I think, and we discussed things like landscape and memory, and you know, how things wax and wane and change over time and grow and shrink. But both pieces turned out quite different, I think, which is really cool. But yeah, overall it was a great experience to be involved in the project, and I really encourage other scientists to be involved with creative stuff, because I think there's a certain insight and understanding that you have as a scientist, which, you know, unless you write your academic papers that like 10 people are going to read, you know, no one gets to hear about it. And I think especially something like climate science, which is obviously really important, it's really good to collaborate and share those ideas more widely. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Hello, I'm Xia Leon Sloane, and this is my piece, Helix. The work emerged from conversations with Freya Mitchison about the discovery of a temperate rainforest which once grew in what we now know as Antarctica. This led me to think about memory, particularly how the planet remembers, through landscapes built over millennia by our other-than-human kin, helping us trace the lineage we all share back to the living earth. You'll hear how the chords in the harp sometimes move beneath and sometimes break out like foliage from the glacial lines in the strings. I'm very grateful to Freya for our fascinating discussions, and to PRiSM for putting together such a brilliant project. And thank you also to you, the audience, for listening. I hope you enjoy it.
My name is Nara Garcia, and I'm the composer of the piece Semilla or Seed. The concept is like falling in love with Earth again. At the beginning, I recite a thought by a chief of an indigenous tribe of the Andes in the region of Araucania. His name is Abel Curuwinka, and he is telling us that we human beings are seeds. The way that we are seeds is through our communication, our ability to communicate and to learn and to share our knowledge. The poem that I wrote with this is the idea that I want to sow into people's minds, to ask themselves a question: what change would I want to see? For the music, I wrote the music in a very minimalistic way because I really wanted it to support the poem, because the words are what I'm communicating to people. When you watch the video, there's so many things happening. It's meant to reflect on how our lives are so busy nowadays in our society, and how our nature is kind of struggling with that, and how we're struggling with ourselves as well.
Todos los mundos son uno solo. Todo está hecho de lo mismo. Los dioses, los espíritus, las estrellas, las plantas, las piedras y las gentes. Todo cambia y se mueve, pero no se muere. Nuestro espíritu es como un árbol. Nace, crece, florece y da semillas. Nunca terminamos de vivir, porque solo cambia la casa de la semilla. Pensamiento del cacique Abel Curuwinka.
A fresh breeze, the buzzing of the city, in all shades but green, the quiet of the oceans, the chaos unseen, all in one, wrapped in nature's bliss, feeling full and free, all talking but not understanding each other's needs, letting each other be, becoming one and letting time heal the broken parts we didn't know, think, and feel, broken parts we missed. We chose to sell our eyes, to speak their lie, we sell our voice. We ought to sell our brains for the bill to be numb and ignore everything that goes behind their closed doors. But how much is enough? And when do we stop? Our earth has become a ticking bomb. This is what we have. This moment defines what we won't get back. Can't turn it around if our patterns we don't destroy. Until when do we ignore everything before it explodes? Have you considered our legacy? What we'll leave? The kind of history you'll be for the generations to speak for centuries. Each nation left to its own damnation for its lack of exertion. I know what I wish to see. Our potential. Are we letting go too soon? Can never be long to hang on to life, to love, to the future it holds. Motionless. The green machine, the big blue. Let us breathe to the smallest parts, evidence of life, all the precious gems, like everything under the skies. Appreciate your moving cells. Let the simum take all that's dead. The time to feel sorry has passed. Instead, think. Before what world of possibilities can you steer? Be significant. This is what I want to see. What world of possibilities can you steer? What is it that you want to see? What is it that you want to see?
Parts per billion focuses on the subject of air pollution, which is a subject we chose due to its relevance in both a local and global level. And we decided to approach this subject through two contrasting perspectives, one more abstract or scientific, which consists in the study of the relationships between air pollution and climate change, and one more human-focused, which consists in the study of the health implications of air pollution. Working with Katherine and Hoda on this piece has been a wonderfully enriching experience in long-distance collaboration, and it has been personally a really eye-opening experience with regards not only to the huge complexity of the scientific study of air pollution, but also to the quietly devastating threat that air pollution poses to every one of us, and that despite the existence of different levels of privilege or pollution advantage that we may experience, this is something that no one is immune to.
We sought to bring to light how certain populations in society are disproportionately affected by air pollution, namely Black and minority ethnic communities. And so the music depicts two storylines, highlighting how different one's life may be, solely based on if they live in an area with high air pollution. We hope that this project raises awareness of the need for strategic responses to air pollution that acknowledge and address the socioeconomic and racial intersections of this public health crisis.
My name is Katherine Turner, and I'm a PhD student studying ocean sciences and climate change. Working with José and Hoda on this project has been a valuable opportunity for me as a climate scientist in the making. My PhD focuses on the carbon problem, which, while it is one of the largest problems that humanity is currently facing, is really only one facet of the climate change problem. My experience up to now with other atmospheric pollutants has always been in quite a broad, integral way, caring less about the individual impacts and looking more at their sum impact for Earth's thermal balance. In this project, we've looked at air pollution much more closely, and I've been astounded at the variety of pollutants and impacts present in most people's everyday environments. Conducting the literature review for this project has been eye-opening by showing that the small concentrations, which have atmospheric lifespans orders of magnitude shorter than carbon dioxide, can have serious compound and integrated impacts on individual health and societal inequalities. The fight to improve the air we breathe is a centuries-old fight, and one that we've made great strides in. Our progress and knowledge give me hope that these improvements will continue and give us wisdom for all the other problems associated with human-induced climate change.
I'm Tywi John Hywel Roberts. I'm a PhD composer just going into my third year at the RNCM, and my piece is titled Planetary Boundaries, Human Needs. And the concept behind it is to take the recorded speech of a climate scientist, either talking about their work or important findings or other aspects of what they do, and use the rhythm and the cadence and the phrasing of their voice to prompt musical ideas and motifs that you can hang the piece around. So the voice in this instance is the voice of Professor Julius Steinberger, who gave us a lecture back in June titled What Wellbeing Can Teach Us About Sustainability. And I was very struck by, in this lecture, the way Dr. Steinberger made human well-being such an explicit focus of her analysis, spotlighting the positive notion that we need to improve and enhance human well-being around the world at the same time as considering how we can decrease consumption to make sure that we're not going to be transgressing any planetary boundaries that could knock local or global environments out of stability. It seemed like a particularly humanist approach to this topic. What are the aspects of human well-being that we need to ensure are maintained and enhanced at the same time as checking whether they are causing a problem for local environments to keep the two things in balance. I'm also making heavy use of clarinet multiphonics in this piece. I'm collaborating with a fantastic clarinetist called Joanna Lung, who supplied me with clarinet multiphonics recorded at home and sent them to me, which I treated then electronically and included in the piece. So this is part of a project run by Dr. Scott McLaughlin at the University of Leeds, focusing on clarinet multiphonics, which is a technique whereby you can produce many notes at the same time on the instrument. In particular, an explicit focus of that project is the inherent instability of that technique. You can do the same thing twice and you're not necessarily going to get the same result. And in fact, sometimes they struggle to speak at all. And this can be affected by their local conditions, the temperature in the room and so on. All of those aspects of that project and of multiphonics in general seemed to tie in quite nicely with the themes around climate change. If you're thinking about instability or climate differences causing changes, big difficulty of voicing certain thoughts or opinions or theories on a topic. All of that seemed to tie in nicely from my point of view, so that's why multiphonics are quite a strong presence in this piece. So that's probably enough from me for now. I just want to say thank you to everyone at PRiSM who made this possible and to everyone else involved, and I hope you enjoy it. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Things are possible. Things are possible. but bad things are possible, but things are bad things are possible, but things are possible, but bad things are possible, but things are possible, but bad things are possible, but bad things are possible, but
she says the next few years, she says the next few years, probably the most important in our history. And she's not joking. She's not just talking. And she's not joking. She's not just talking about our history as in history. She's talking about the most important in our history as a species. Global, planetary, and social systems is a sort of integrated, intertwined physical and social package. Integrated, intertwined physical and social package. Integrated, intertwined. Integrated, intertwined. Integrated, intertwined. Integrated, intertwined.
But bad things are, but succeeding at, but satisfying human needs, and while not transgressing planetary boundaries. Bad things are we're doing reasonably terrible at. This is a very lonely neighborhood. So we're not talking about happiness, we're not talking about consumption, we're not talking about a utility function, we're talking about this very pragmatic view of well-being underpinned by human need satisfaction. Underpinned by human need satisfaction. So we're not talking about happiness. We're not talking about consumption. Biophysical inputs, which are tied to planetary processes and planetary boundaries, provisioning systems, social outcomes, and looking connect sufficient services to looking connect sufficient services to But what's not possible is where we need to be, that the neighborhood of like succeeding at satisfying human needs and while not transgressing planetary boundaries. Okay, you went there? Okay, you went there? How can
consumption could be reduced while preserving or enhancing human well-being. How consumption could be reduced, preserving or enhancing human well-being. Preserving or enhancing human well-being. How consumption could be reduced. How consumption could be reduced while preserving or enhancing human well-being. 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 How consumption could be reduced while preserving or enhancing human well-being. Preserving or enhancing human well-being. How consumption could be reduced while preserving or enhancing human well-being. If you have those things, if you have those things, if you have those things, basic stuff, food, water, housing, health, education, relationships, if you have those things, childhood safety, that kind of thing, that stuff you can sort of measure. If you have those things, mental health, cognitive understanding, opportunities to participate, so this is a very social view of well-being, physical health and autonomy. If you have those things, that in turn gives you a chance at having well-being and social participation. How consumption could be reduced while preserving or enhancing human well-being. Preserving or enhancing human well-being. Are we transgressing planetary boundaries? Are we transgressing planetary boundaries?
Satisfying human needs.
Are we
satisfying human needs?
Are we
satisfying human needs?
How consumption could be reduced while preserving or enhancing human well-being. Preserving or enhancing human well-being. Now what we're doing is preserving or enhancing human well-being. Preserving or enhancing human well-being. We're looking across the whole world. Can we model a different future? We're looking across the whole world. So far, no country satisfies human needs while remaining within planetary boundaries. We're connecting human needs to sufficient levels of energy services, which is the good stuff we actually get from energy. It's the good stuff we actually get from energy. Can we model a different future? Energy use is very unequally distributed, with more affluent people consuming more energy-intensive transport than anyone else. Can we model a different future? And we have a global model which takes into account technology improvements, equal distribution, lower demand levels. Can we model a different future? Can we model a different future? Can we model a different future? Lower demand levels. Can we model a different future? Equal distribution. Can we model a different future? Technology improvements. Can we model a different future? The good stuff we actually get from energy. Can we model a different future? Human well-being. Can we model a different future? Can we model a different future? Technology improvements. Can we model a different future? The good stuff we actually get from energy. Can we model a different future? Human well-being. Can we model a different future? Can we model a different future? Technology improvements. Can we model a different future? The goods we have actually calculated. Can we model a different future? Human well-being. Can we model a different future?
What a beautiful day! Hello, my name's Deane Smith. I have created some honest environments to share with you. I talk about my experience of my environment and ask some questions I think are important to ask, just open to people to ponder. I plan to keep sharing my honesty and the environments I find myself within. This is an exciting beginning for me, so here it is. Honest environments. Hello, my name's Deane Smith. You can call me Deane. Some people don't, some people do. I grew up by the M60, breaking up cat fights with underpants on my head, wheelie bin rides, fun, creating my own snowy weather, running down the alley with polystyrene against the wall. For those of you that don't know, the M60 is a motorway in Manchester. They call it an orbital motorway because cars use it to orbit the centre of Manchester. I think that's why. Anyway, this is my way of talking out loud about my experience of the environment. My environment on our shared home, planet Earth. And I know because every person is an individual and experiences everything differently, we'll all have something different to say. I have my own questions and curiosities, and this is a documentation of my journey of exploration and learning, and I hope it can help in its own way. I don't want to bore you either, so give me a shout if you're bored, we can talk about it. I think talking openly and honestly with one another is so brilliant. Listening to each other considerately, patiently and open. It's not easy, but we can do it. I love nature, I love nature, I love nature. Even the nettles, they have taught me a lot. When I was younger, I would catch ladybirds and wasps upside down in glass cups to investigate their colours and intricate wings. My granddad, Eddie, taught me to stroke bees. Always gentle, with the back of your finger remaining calm and mindfully stroking down towards its bum. That's when I would get scared because it's close to its sting. You must be gentle though, and while it rests on a flower collecting pollen. My granddad's dad taught him, and he taught me. A lovely tradition, I think, connecting us with nature. I hope the bees don't mind. They don't seem to. I've told you a little about my environment. What's your environment? I'm on a journey of learning. What would your next step be to start your journey? Where I'm sat, the sky is gorgeous blue and scraped with clouds, just covering the sun and letting the tiny little flies settle in the cold air. A lady just walked past me, holding a baby, curiously looking up to the sky with wonder. and dribbling. The trees and leaves. What it must be like, eh? Seeing this planet we live on with fresh eyes. I've got a small card gifted to me by Susie Renshaw, the founder of Trauma Therapy Manchester. On the front it says, "I love myself totally in the now." On the back it says, "I am gentle, kind and comforting to my inner child as we uncover and release the old negative messages within us." The reason I'm mentioning our inner child is because I feel like we are so naturally connected to nature as children, and for some of us, somewhere along the way, that connection can be lost in the busyness of life. I'm on a journey to become connected with my inner child, which has such a natural, open curiosity with nature. Where is your inner child right now? What would they be doing right now? And if you knew all that you know now, or the lack of knowing, it's a journey, we can't know it all, but if you knew all that you know now, what would yourself as a child want to do? What changes would they make to your environment? Over the last few months, I have been so lucky to be in touch with scientist Katherine Turner. She has shared with me ways people are already trying to make a positive change in their environment. She told me about how scientists in Sheffield are using rocks to capture carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. These people are called the Leverhulme Centre for Climate Change Mitigation. I'm leaving you all a list of fabulous people who are on their own journey of making positive change to the environments that surround them. Being fabulous can be done in so many different ways. The list is there for you to see and learn about other humans finding their way. What's your way? You might not know that yet, but how could you start? We're coming to the end of my honest environments for now. I'm leaving you a recording of me talking with scientist Katherine Turner, and also the list of fabulous humans I mentioned before. This was my honest environment. Bye bye for now.